Okay, can you hear me now? Lovely. Okay, perfect. I'm going to get started then. I'll move this chat out of the way for now. So hi, it's Sophie, and we're going to get started with the webinar for the final report. This is not going to be a long presentation, but it's just to give you all the key information that you need to wrap up your companies. I know it's been really a whirlwind, and it's crazy to think that we're nearly finished already. But you guys are all doing really well, and we're really proud of you all. So the first thing that we'll do is just explain to you a little bit about what's coming up. So the first things first is tomorrow we're going to be obviously making our final preparations for the National Youth Fair. If you have not yet, let us know if you have any special requirements. You really have to let us know. That's why we sent a really long email yesterday, just going through everything. But if you have any like crazy ideas, like, I don't know, you want to have a bubble machine, or you want to have a hot plate, or you want to do anything like that, please let us know, because there are some regulations that you need to be aware of, okay? On National Youth Fair, on the 24th or on the 23rd of March, you will need to give us copies of 3 meeting minutes with your mentor or your link teacher. So your business advisor. So just do make sure you bring those with you. If you don't have them ready, let us know, and we will work out a time where you can bring them, okay? So the next thing is, you've all done your self-assessment for the entrepreneurial skills pass, your first one. And the way this works is that you'll have a second self-assessment at the end of April, so we can see how you've improved and what changes have happened while you've taken part in the program. The ESP glossary is in the download section in the general files, so just make sure you check that out. If you have any problems finding it, let us know. We'll guide you to it. So you'll need to do your second self-assessment by the 25th of April. It might seem really far away right now, but just remember, it's the week after the panel interviews. Okay, we would like to hold all our ESP exams, which are just a 1-hour exam. It's all online at schools and colleges in early May, but we're still discussing with schools exactly when they're going to be scheduled. So we'll let you know when your exam is, as soon as we've agreed with the schools, but it will be at the beginning of May. If you want to try out the ESP exam itself, you can go to the demo. Now, if you have any questions as we go through this session, please just put them in the chat section, input them into the box, or you can call me straight after this, and we'll discuss it. I'm also going to upload this PowerPoint onto the download section as well, and potentially also, if YouTube allows, I will put it on YouTube as well. Okay, so next, the key things that you need to start doing as you prepare to wrap up your company are: make sure you keep a good record of your financial accounts. I've included here a really useful video that tells you about 4 different forms of financial statements. So the balance sheet, profit and loss, these kind of things that you'll need to include in your final report. If you don't know what these things are now, don't worry about it. Watch this video. We will be uploading helpful materials in the download section to help you as you go along. We've got a chat. Okay, so I'll open that up. I'll come back to there we go. So Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, just refrain from asking personal questions, anything that's particularly on this. JTAGs we will be able to give to people on Friday at rehearsal. So just don't ask any personal questions. Give me a call after and we'll discuss this. Just if you have any queries about what we're discussing now, please do hit up the chat box, okay? So keep a record of your financial accounts. What you're going to need to do is start scheduling your annual general meeting with your shareholders. So making sure that your financial accounts are up to date is so important. So start working on those. Make sure you're recording all of your sales and all of your expenditure, so that it makes it easier for you when you come to finalize everything at the end. When you eventually divide up your dividends, so you give money back to your shareholders, you'll first have to pay a tax, which is 20%, and it's representative of corporate tax that all companies have to pay. Okay, so I'll talk you through that later. Step 3 is you need to schedule an annual general meeting with your shareholders. So everyone who supported your company in the beginning, you need to get them back together, talk them through the progress that you've made, and explain to them how you will return their money to them and any share of the profits that they might have if your company is going to make a profit, okay? You need to schedule this meeting in the first week of April. So try and send that email this week, if you can, to your shareholders. And then you'll need to inform Jay of which 2 representatives your team would like to attend this very exciting event, which is the HSBC annual general meeting. So this is very similar to what you'll be doing in your meetings, but this will have some of the top executives from HSBC who will be kind of networking and attending a very exciting formal gala event on the 12th of April. It's the morning, it's at the Hilton, and it's just a really, really exciting event. So make sure you let us know which two members of your team will be joining by the 5th of April. You don't need to have your video on, by the way, Bold, we can see you in the corner, but that's okay. All right, so the next thing that you'll need to do is, let me move this down, there we go. So the next thing you'll need to do is complete your final report, and by the end of this webinar you're going to know exactly how to do that, okay? So hi guys, everyone in the video at the bottom. So the deadline for the final report is the 12th of April. I'm sure many of you will know this already. It's 8 p.m, so you don't have to stay up all night working on it. Just get it finished and send it to us by 8 p.m. And I'll tell you more about that in a bit. Then you'll need to prepare your presentation. You don't need to prepare a slideshow or anything. It's just a short introduction that you'll do about your company during your panel interviews, which will be on the 21st of April. Just make sure you bring your hard copies of your final report with you on the 21st of April. Just so you know, even though you'll have completed your final report, all of your information just needs to be up to date with the date that you complete your final report, so up to the 12th of April. Then you can update your figures after that. You can keep selling if you want to keep selling, but you don't have to. Okay? It's obviously best that you do, but if you are going to continue to sell, make sure you keep good record of your sales. Next one. Okay, so the AGM. Your annual general meeting is where you actually face up to your stakeholders and you let them know the progress that you've made, how many sales you've made, essentially what you've done with their money. You'll explain to them how you're going to pay them back for the money they've given you. So if you have sold 25 shares in your company and your directors have all bought shares as well, you have to divide the profits up equally between all of those shares and give those out. Okay, but before you divide your shares, you'll have to minus the tax. So you minus 20% from your entire profits, and then divide that between your stakeholders. Guys, can you turn your audio off, because that was really scary. Right, so then you will, you just need to discuss, make sure everyone's happy with the agreed dividend schedule, and make sure you take minutes. This is a very, very important meeting, okay? And yeah, explain how you reached your profits, because not all of your shareholders will have very strong financial literacy. So make it really clear what you've been doing for the last few months, okay? Then you need to take a vote to say that everyone has agreed that the dividends proposed, so the money that's going to be returned to your shareholders, is fair. And then you need to take a record of all of the votes and any suggestions that your shareholders might have about how to improve the liquidation process. Okay, the judges will ask you about this at the panel interview, so be ready. There's more information here about the process. Remember, if you're a social enterprise and you've said that you're going to give a certain percentage of your profits to charity, you need to remind your shareholders in your AGM that you've said that, and clarify any confusion they might have about that. Make sure that everything is as you planned it in terms of your use of your profit. Okay, so I'm going to show you in a little bit some really good examples of what the final report looks like. I've got one from last year that was really, really fantastic, a team called Cobalt, which I will put up on the website because it's just a really good example. You do not need to use a template. This document represents your company. It's not about a formula, but there are some best practice approaches. So we'll go through those. So with no further ado, the final report is due, of course, on the 12th of April. We have a question. Quality, that's bad. Yeah, we know. You'll need to give us a PDF copy. You cannot send us a Word document copy. It's got to be non-editable because it's in a formal document, okay? I'm not going to go through all of this because this stuff is anyway on the company program guide, and a lot of it's self-explanatory. This webinar will be available to you later, so you can go through this whenever. But make sure you do not go over 10 pages. And very importantly, make sure that your file size is not over 5 megabytes, okay? Because if you end up winning the competition, and we go to Europe, to the European finals, there is a very, very strict file size. And if you can't send your final report at the last minute to the European judges, then it's just a tragedy. So let's avoid that. Keep to the 5 megabytes, okay? Next, there's this information about the cover pages for your perusal later. But remember, the front cover is not included in your 10 pages, and you cannot have any more than that. Right? This is about you. This report. It's about the progress you've made financially, the progress you've made in terms of the market, but also how you've developed as a team, how the program has impacted you, and you can include in it any major achievements you have. If you've been on TV and or you've been on radio, or you've developed a new exciting product, put it all in the report. Even any contacts that you've made, any partnerships you've built, because that all represents your work as a company. Okay? Each participant needs to be represented. It's best that you guys work on this together as a group. but it cannot feel like a document that's made up of lots of different documents. Make sure you proofread it, go over it together, get your mentor to look at it, and make sure that there is one consistent voice. Because sometimes we do receive reports and it's very obvious that one person has written each section and it just doesn't flow. So make sure the flow is there, okay? You need to make sure that you recognize the roles of each individual person, how the company works, what the structure of it is, and use photos, use visual aids, use pie charts, make it appealing, because this is not like an essay. This is something that promotes your company and not only celebrates the achievement that you have collectively managed to reach, but also the potential future viability of your project. Okay, so something you can use in future when you're going to apply for jobs and say, this is something that I did when I was 16, 17, and this is an exceptional piece of work. That's what this is for. Okay, so yeah, a picture tells 1,000 words. We don't want to see boring black and white reports, and the judges don't want to see them either. So be creative, show your brand, show your creativity, and make it a joy to read, basically. So, as you know, there are 4 stages of the competition. We are here, trade fair. Then you've got your report to do. Then we'll have the interview with the panel of judges. So the way that this works is you have a short introduction of your company, and then the judges will just ask you questions. And you have around 20 minutes all in all to discuss with the judges, and they'll ask you about things that are in the report. And then you have your final business presentation, which is where you do your big show. It's a 4-minute pitch to an audience of 400 people, and you can pull out all the stops. You can have props. You'll have a presentation or a video, and it's really where you give the judges your wow factor. Okay, so yeah, this will be finished by the end of this week. So at finals, though, you will have officially liquidated your company. So on the 27th of May, which is when finals is going to be, that is the date after which you cannot operate under your company's name. So whatever your company is, Guardiola, a J company, or Bold, a J company, will cease to exist after 27th of May. I know, it's sad, but we'll be okay. So at that point, you need to have liquidated your company. So before you get there, you need to make sure all of your orders are completed, so don't owe anyone any money. If you have stock left over, that's fine, but you won't be able to sell it after that point. So try and manage your sales plan so that you have sold all of your stock by that point. And then you need to update your financial records as well as you sell. Okay? And you need to have returned all of the money to your shareholders. You must have paid your J tax, and essentially you don't want to have anything held over your head, because by that point it's summer and exams. Okay, so we want you to be able to focus on that as much as possible. So liquidation, what is liquidation? Liquidation is reducing your company down to the parts that made it up at the beginning. So you're going to divide all of your profit, and you're going to record all of the progress that you've made, and essentially you just tie everything up. Mark, can you turn off your audio, please? Yeah, all your financial statements need to have been checked through by, if possible, an auditor. That would be great. But if that's not possible, get your business mentor or your business advisor to look through them. Okay, they can sign off that your financial statements are all up to scratch. And as I said, there needs to be a vote on your financials at the AGM as well. Then, when you actually come to liquidate your company on the day of finals, you need to give us a receipt of payment of the 20% corporate tax. So you will need to pay J 20%, a 20% tax on your profits. Okay. Usually this is not very much, but it's a symbolic gesture that helps you to understand tax. We will give you a receipt, and we'll have a copy ourselves. Your liquidation report, and the way that you structured this, we have a template. We will upload it to the download section soon. You don't need to worry about it just now. And also a declaration of solvency. This as well will be updating on the download section soon. So you give this all to us. So if you need to still pay your J tax, you'll pay it at finals, and then you'll bring all these documents with you signed. We'll put them all securely away, and you will have finished. The other thing you'll need to do is deregister from VAT. This is something that often students forget to do, but it's very important. So you need to fill in the VAT deregistration form. If you need help finding this, we're going to have this on the download section as well. And you need to send us proof of everything. And then you need to give all of your VAT books back to the VAT department, okay? Whether they're used, unused, they need to have them all returned. You need to do this, otherwise you can get into a lot of trouble with the authorities, and we don't want anyone getting arrested, okay? So please do this as soon as you've liquidated your company. Don't forget, because we do have students who do, and then we have to protect them from the VAT office, and that's not fun. So, yeah, as I mentioned, that this is just about tax. This also, I think I've pretty much covered most of this, but you can go back and have a look if you want to refresh your memory after this webinar. Okay, and the last thing, I told you this would be a brief webinar. The last thing that we ask you all to do is to give us one example of your product or service. So at J, we have an archive of old products and services from all of our students over the years, and we now have 30 years of products and services, and we are very proud. We do showcase them. So we ask that each team gives us one product from their product range, so that we can keep it for history. So yeah, so you need to bring this with you on the finals day. I mean, it's good to anyway bring with you some examples of your products to finals, so that people who've never heard of you at all can very easily and quickly understand what your product is. So yeah. So in addition to giving us an example of your products, you'll just need to write a very, very short description of what it is and how it works. And then you're all done, and that's the program over. So I'm going to just see if there are any questions. If you have any questions, please do speak now or forever hold your peace. Or if there's anything you'd like me to go back over, I have some time now just to go over anything. No one? Oh, we have one. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes to write. No worries. But yeah, just make sure that you do meet with your mentor and that you get them to check over all your work. The point of, in fact, what I can do now is, I'll wait for you guys to have your questions, and meanwhile, I'll just show you the example that I think is just fantastic of a final report we got last year. So this is Cobalt. Cobalt did win some prizes, but at the finals. But I think their company report was just by far outstanding. They were from St. Aloysius. So they went to their company overview, explaining everything about their business, what their roles are, how they manage their internal communications. They went over their product, operations. And then, very importantly, mentioned how they ensure that their quality is high. And this is something that you really, really need to include. Okay, so I'm going to answer these questions while we're here. So, the final report needs to have been signed by your mentor, your auditors, by April the 12th. But then if you update your finances, then they just need to sign off on those again. Okay, so when you finally finish and you do your liquidation, they'll need to sign, your mentor will need to sign, but you can publish your financials on the 12th of April and have your mentor sign off on those as well. Essentially, an auditor needs to sign off on all the financial data you prepare. So every single time you present your financials, you need to be signed by someone. Okay, right. So now, here we go. So can we play this? So with regards to paying dividends, you don't need, so on the 27th of May, you need to have divided all of your share capital and not before. What you do in your AGM is you decide how you will divide your dividends, okay? You can keep selling until May, and then after that point, you need to divide all of your dividends. So by the time we get to the 27th of May, all of the money that's been put into your company by other people needs to have been shared back to your shareholders, okay? But you need to work out your plan for liquidation, how you're going to divide your shares can you still hear me? Yeah, I think so. By finals. Okay, so you decide your plan at AGM, you pay them after finals. Okay. Right. So, okay, perfect. So, all right. So, next question. Will include sales info after. Okay, what you do is you add appendices. So if you have published your financial data on the 12th of April, you'll need to bring updated charts of your financials to the panel interviews. Okay, so if you keep selling after the 12th of April, just make sure you record all of your financial data and bring it with you so the judges can see it. Okay. What about continuation? Yes. If you want to continue afterwards, we will be sharing some information about how to reopen your company and register with MSSA, and that will all be on the download section. For the purposes of this, we're just keeping it simple to the end of the program. Okay. So, Brelke, I will continue to scroll for you. So, this is an overview of the marketing strategy that they employed. They used humour as well, which was fantastic. You know, making fun of Trump because it was very topical at the time. And that's something that was really great about this report. It was just a joy to read because you don't have to it has to be business-like, but it doesn't have to be boring. So do keep it light. Then understanding how the business was composed, so what the brand was, having a clear brand identity, that's something really good to go into. As I said, this is not a formula to work with, but it's a really good example. What is your marketing mix? How are you reaching out to people? Make sure you explain this to people so they can understand what your connection to your customers are. Okay, then they went into the financial performance of the company, and this is this kind of breaks down from a kind of cost revenue perspective. Okay, and then statement of financial position. This is like a balance sheet. So in the video that I included in the PowerPoint, there is a very good description of 4 different kinds of financial statements. Choose which ones you think are important for your company. Balance sheet is essentially what you have in hand, what assets you have. And then your profit and loss is actually how you're using those assets and whether your income is greater than your expenditure. Okay. Paul Sullivan, don't you worry about it. This will all be online after the webinar, so you can tune in later. And then just make sure that you have your finance director sign the financial statements. So whoever from your team is managing finance needs to sign this, and the business mentor also will need to sign it. Okay, can you include this one? Yeah, this report is going to be in the download section, so don't worry about it. You cannot copy this, obviously, but it is a really fantastic example. And yeah, so this is really good. When you talk about performance, you're talking about ratio. How much work and capital are you putting into your company, and is that paying off in terms of profit and impact? So make sure you list how much your products are costing and what is your profit margin on each product that you make. Okay, and then be really make it clear that you guys have all, I mean, I personally know that you all have ideas that have a very scalable future. Even though you're not continuing with the company program after this, your ideas all have the potential to grow and develop in the future. So talk about the potential of your business idea. Talk about how the fact that you've generated all of these sales shows that there is a market for your idea, and how you think in the future this might be able to be developed. Okay? So yeah, so that's pretty much all we'd kind of planned to cover. I will upload this final report in the download section as well as the webinar. The webinar might take some time to upload, so it might be tomorrow rather than today. But if you have any other questions, please do let us know, or pick up the phone and give us a call. We're always happy to help. And if you have any questions regarding National Youth Fair, please do let us know as well. We are now 3 days away, and asking a question early can save you a lot of trouble later on. Okay, so if there are no further questions, I am going to wrap up the webinar. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope this has been helpful. If you need any clarifications, yeah, just do let us know. Okay, have a great day. Bye.